It wasn't always pretty, but Jack Janicki would not let us lose this game. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Mr. Ryan Herrings. We got Rajiv, we got Justin, both up the Bucky Report. Whew. All right, today's episode, first let's get into what we need to take care of. Today's episode brought to you by Nissan, all new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for Armada Team of the Week later this week in a different episode. But let's start here, guys. We're going to talk obviously reaction, player of the game, good, bad, and ugly. Let's start with the good. Wisconsin, it felt like a game where they outlasted Minnesota, but they did outlast them. I will always say winning ugly is way better than losing ugly. Let's go good, bad, and ugly. Justin, we'll start with you. What's the good?
Free throws. They were, I think, 18 of 21 in this game, so almost 90% from the line. Some really good hustle from both Gilmore and from Janicki, obviously. And I thought for the most part they closed really strong in this one in a game that they could have very easily let slip away.
Yeah, look, for me, I mean, I think it's a gritty win. First of all, anytime you beat the Minnesota Golden Gophers is a great thing for me, period. Like, I'll end of discussion because I certainly hate that team in all sports. It's gritty. Shooting percentage was low again from three. I'm certainly going to talk about that. But but when you win in a game like that, that means everything. Like Justin said, I think some individual players had a lot of effort. I thought Nolan Winter looked really good early, like really early, but then it kind of just, which we'll get into as well. But Stephen Crowl, I thought we're not going to really talk about Crowl, I feel like, too much tonight. So I'm going to talk about him in this segment. 4 of 6 from the field, and 10 points, like just doing what he has to do again when he wasn't doubled, when they were going down in the lane to him. He did it. He played great tonight. So yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of other players tonight, but he's probably not going to be someone we mention later. Give Crowl more credit. And once again, another example, when Crowl's not here, we are going to miss him.
We are going to miss Crowl. People say I'm too high on Crowl. We're going to miss Crowl. My good's Janicki. I'm just going to start there. We're going to get to player of the game later, and maybe that'll be player of the game for you guys. I don't know. It's not my player of the game, but so I want to give him a lot of love. So I'm going to lead off with the good. Jack Janicki, you guys, we're seeing a future starter for the Badgers, and it might be as soon as next year. He has an incredible feel for the game. His ability to pass and play with pace. He gets in the paint and he finds cutters. He doesn't panic. That fadeaway shot he hit with 1 second on the shot clock when I think we were up 1. We were either up 1 or 2, I forget. That was such a big moment in that game that he helped keep distance. And that's the type of shot that you don't expect from your 7th man. You don't expect your 7th man to drive in the paint, pivot, and then hit a fadeaway shot over a pretty good defender with 1 second left on the road to help Clint. That's a Blackwell shot. That's a Tanjay shot. Jack Janicki was incredible. Hustle plays, assist, tipping the ball. He lost a tooth on a late rebound because he was still working at it. What a great, gritty, unbelievable effort from Jack Janicki. He's my good.
By the way, he had 22 minutes tonight, which is a good number of minutes for him. And on the stat sheet, it's fine. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists, but a lot of that stuff doesn't even show up. The things that Janicki did tonight, I mean, if that's the kind of effort we get from Jack Janicki, boy, he is a player. And if that's the kind of guy you need, and we have a history of guys like that just play really hard, that give it all the effort in the world, that don't really show a ton of stuff on the stat sheet, but it's the confidence with him, right? Like, he's playing like he knows he's good. And the more he does that, the better he's going to get. And listen, like, we're going to rely on him in March too. Like, he's all of a sudden kind of becoming he's the new spark plug off the bench now that McGee's in the starting lineup, and he's doing a great job with it.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that you look back at some of the Badger really good teams that they've always had a guy like this that's really heady, makes the smart right play at the right time. We had like 4 of them on the 2014 and 2015 teams. And he's just one of those guys that you look to make smart basketball plays consistently and understand the moment. And that is one of those things that is incredibly valuable in college basketball.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I was going to say, let's go to the mids. Rajiv, we'll kick off with what's your mid in this game?
Overall energy level, I thought, and kind of like the pace we were playing with. I think overall, we talked about tired legs recently. All of us have talked about that. And that's evident. It's evident in some of the shooting that we've seen, certainly from guys like Gilmore tonight, from Winter was shooting tired. But overall, like I'm a little bit concerned about the overall energy level. So there were times where I thought, like defensively early, I thought overall defensively played pretty well overall. But then there were moments where we just were, again, just not closing out on 3-pointers, standing near the corner of the box and just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll let the guy shoot. Like, no, like we need to be a little bit more energy driven. So to me, that was a mid, not anything super bad, but that energy has to carry through. We're going to have to find our legs if we're going to have a run in March.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, the offensive basketball in this game in general was mid to bordering on poor at times. Just this team at times, and this is the part of the season where they need to do it more than ever, is execute, move the ball, and really make the other team work on defense. And we seem to fall in love with just settling for ISO plays at times. And we have a couple of guys who are pretty good offensive players and capable of doing that. But we saw it late in this game. There was one of our best sets, I think, all game. McGee drove off the right side, came through, kicked it to Blackwell across in the corner, who then moved it right out on the top, and that was where Janicki got the layup. And it was like, that play happened because your ball movement got somebody out of position, and he got a wide open layup going right down the middle of the lane. And that's what happens when you guys run good sets. You make it so much easier on yourself to get easy shots, and you make the defense work so much harder. If they did this consistently throughout the first half, by the time they got midway through the second half, the other team would just be on fumes. But they get too stuck on just letting people kind of take over and do their thing because they have a couple guys capable of it, that it kind of takes them out of it at times. And it's like we've seen them in their games when they're really dominant is when those guys don't play ISO ball, and we just continue to move the ball like this and just grind teams down.
I mean, I think there's a balance. So I hear you. I think at times, we said this all year, this team teeters on the balance of too much ISO, but also if you start running too much structure, then it takes away from the free-flowing offense and the confidence of these guys to shoot, which, again, that's a double-edged sword with this team, because when it works, we did just miss some open shots too, and if those go in, suddenly that ISO ball looks a little better. But you're right. There's also times where you have to structure it, especially against a team like Minnesota that was scrambling because they don't have great matchups for us defensively. You could exploit more against this team, I thought. Which leads me to my mid. My mid is Steven Crowl. I thought, like, you look at the efficiency, it looks good, but I thought he gave up on his post game too much. There were times where we got it to him, and either he was posting too far out, like he can't post 18 feet out, which he was starting to do in the second half, or he was posting underneath the rim and trying to get a throw over the top. Well, that's Minnesota's fronting you, bro. You're not going to get that. That's not a passing angle that works. Crowl needs to do a better job of carving out space in spots that are usable, and then when he gets it, he needs to be a little more decisive. I thought there were moments where he gave up on his post game, and he can't do that when Minnesota has no matchup for them. You can see Minnesota is throwing 2 or 3 people at him, and I thought he bailed them out, but it was still efficient. So he's not a bad to me, but I thought I wanted more from Crowl in this one. So he's my mid in this game.
Yeah. He wasn't bad to me either. Oh, go ahead, G.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I hear you on that. I wouldn't say that he gave up on his post game. I think that we sort of as a team went away from pushing that a little bit. But I do hear you on he needs to establish better position, especially when those mismatches were there.
All right, let's get to the bad really quick. I'll lead off on mine. I have a quick one. The bad is just the Kamari McGee starting experiment isn't working. We all love Kamari McGee. I love Kamari McGee. It just works better when he's coming off the bench, and I think he's in his head. I think he's trying to be Klesmit. I think he's trying to be a starter. It works better right now for whatever reason. It's a small sample size. I think we got to be always careful with small sample sizes. He's been really bad the last 2 games.
Yeah.
I think you got to talk about in next segment, maybe we'll talk about Janicki potentially starting and McGee coming off the bench. Obviously, when Klesmit's back, this equation changes. But to me, I don't like saying it, but you got to point out the obvious. McGee's been bad the last couple games.
I think he's just trying to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's trying to prove that he deserves that, and just do what you were doing to start, man. Just bring energy, and when the shots are there, take them. Other than that, play hard defense. Like, he was playing so well to start this. It's like you didn't need to do more than what you were already doing. Like, you were borderline a guy who deserved to start at that point, and you were playing close to that level of minutes anyways. So just go out there, do what you were doing, and just do it as a starter. But I actually agree with you. I like his energy coming in off the bench because I think he gives them a boost when they need it. And right now, they have Janicki kind of doing that, but it's at a different position. And it's not really – I think it's actually a better fit at the guard spot. I think that's where we'd prefer to be getting it because he can come in and start to pressure the guards for the other team when they get into the reserves.
Listen, my bad. I put up a graph on the Bucky Report the other day. The 3-point shooting. This is now our 3rd out of 4 games that we're under 25%. 22.7% tonight. Like there's a trend in a negative direction. And I'm not saying that we can't get out of it, but it is a concern. And I know there were a couple comments about everyone's tired this time of year. I hear that. But when we're tired and we're playing with those tired legs, it affects our shooting. It affects everyone's shooting. And I do think that I guess what I'm saying is I think it has more of an impact on us than it does on other teams. You can see our offensive production is going down. You can just see the 3-point shooting is a concern now. This is now a trend. Like there are multiple games. We're just not shooting that well. We've got one more regular season game and then we'll see what happens. My other bad, honestly, Nolan Winter, I just think I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like there are times when he has such good moments in this game. There were moments I'm like, yeah, Nolan Winter. And there are other times I'm like, what game are you playing, bro? I was really frustrated with Nolan Winter, and I'm a huge Nolan Winter apologist, but this was a bad game for him.
Yeah, we saw shades of Dirk and then shades of like Evan Fournier or something in the same. Like, dude, just shoot the shot, bro. Like you're too talented to second guess yourself, and we all know that his upside's huge.
He wanted to do too much in this game.
Yeah, and listen, I'd say this: Minnesota. I thought they scrambled pretty hard. Like they played pretty hard defensively. They tried to make it uncomfortable in the post, and I'll give them credit for that. They were outmatched, but they played hard, and they ran some extra bodies at the post or pulled the chair a little bit. Still, you got to play better. All right, we're going to take a quick break there. Come back. Player of the game plus big picture thoughts plus how much do we miss Max Klesman? We're going to talk about all of that coming up next. Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for new friends of the show. Really excited about this one. This was sponsored last year. March Madness coming up. Right now, the Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart from top-seeded stars to unexpected upsets. These guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada clear-cut Team of the Week is the Houston Cougars. Since joining the Big 12 last year, the Cougars have gone a combined 33-4 in conference games, winning the regular season title multiple games both years. There is no team in college basketball that is more capably embodies the rugged Armada than Kelvin Sampson's squad. Houston's tenacious defense leads the nation in fewest points allowed per game for the second straight season. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Houston Cougars have done this year. It's clear that our Team of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder. Go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. And hopefully next week, or coming up in one of these weeks, we'll have a Wisconsin Badgers Armada Team of the Week if they keep winning. Guys, let's start here. I'll start with Rajiv. We'll start with you on this one. How much do we miss Max Klesman here?
A lot, because he's creating open shots. Like we talked, there's a comment in here. I started and I lost it. That, like McGee's not getting that open 3 in the corner as much anymore because Max isn't really there. And it's depth. We're a deep team. Even we're playing 8 right now. Like that's fine. That's enough players, but you need that defensive energy. And frankly, I've been saying for weeks now, I think he's the best point guard we have on the team. To me, it's clear. I mean, you can put Janicki in that argument now too, but I think when Klesmit's playing the point, he was getting 6 to 7 assists in his last few games before he got hurt. Sounds like he's maybe back for the Penn State game. I think he'll be good for March, which is fine. Don't play him at all against Penn State if there even is any kind of risk of re-injury. Just let him sit. We need him in March. He's a critical piece of this team. Our team is really good, right? We know that, but it does require everyone, right? Like if we had any of our starting 5 that are going down, that's going to hurt us in one way or another. And so while Klesmit's numbers haven't always been great all season, he's a really critical piece of the team, but he's creating open lanes for the offense. The way he's passing, the way that he's driving, the way that he's just knowing when sometimes he has to take over and get a shot late in the shot clock. That's what he does well, and we're missing it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He absolutely is something. He is such an effective player and creates so much gravity on the court. As much as I like McGee, the size that Klesmit has is really effective offensively because he is capable of getting to the rim a little bit better than what McGee is, even though I think McGee gets downhill a little easier. It's just finishing. Like, he's capable of actually doing some things and creating some things. And if he does get hot, like he has games where he'll hit 1 or 2 threes that can kind of open things up for everybody else, because people are scared of him. And I just don't think the word is out, or the reputation is out as much on McGee as what Klesmit's had, because of some of the games that he's had in his career here, where you see games where he goes off for 20 plus. I personally think that it probably is affecting us to the point of about 5-6 points overall a game. Like, it's a pretty substantial drop off, which is a big deal for any team.
Yeah, I think it hurts in the minutes too. So just to kind of add on to whatever everyone said, Black will play 37 minutes tonight. That doesn't happen with McGee on the court. Yeah. 37's a lot. And you can talk tired legs or not. And Bo Dragan had a comment in here that said tired legs is kind of ridiculous. Everybody's got tired legs. You're more tired when you're playing 37, coming off a Michigan State game where you also have to play like
37.
Yeah, it's that's a great point, because Blackwell's usage rate was about 38% today. Those aren't just high minutes; those are high leverage minutes. If McGee's in there, McGee's not just playing minutes. Or sorry, Klesmit's not just playing minutes. He's taking a lot of that pick and roll ball handling responsibility away from Tonje and Blackwell, which makes the game easier on Tonje and Blackwell. So, guys, player of the game for me, it's Blackwell. I think I love Janicki. Blackwell played 37 minutes and had 11 boards. He's the one that I thought came out aggressively, played hard from the onset, got the Gophers in foul trouble. I know it wasn't the most efficient game, but it was a high usage game that we absolutely do not win without Blackwell.
100% agree. Blackwell's a player of the game. Yeah, a lot of good honorable mentions. You know, Janicki obviously there. Gilmore, I think, had a great game, which we haven't talked about, but we will. I think Crowl had a good game. I know you guys disagree a bit, but yeah, it's Blackwell. I mean, 25 points, 11 rebounds. We don't win this game without him. He understood when he had to take over. I thought his shot selection was really good tonight. I mean, everything from maybe a couple threes, but honestly, like, he was feeling it. He was driving. He was getting fouled. He was making the rebound, the athletic rebounding. We needed that. I think that was kind of I didn't say this is one of my mids, but rebounding was a bit of a mid for me too, just because so many offensive rebounds for Minnesota, 13, which is too many to give up. But Blackwell played a really big part in getting some of those big defensive rebounds when our bigs weren't getting them. He was. So yeah, incredible game from Blackwell.
Yeah, I'm going to be the contrarian. It's Jack Janicki for me. For as well as Blackwell played in this game, the game was still in doubt down late at the end, and he made so many winning plays down the stretch that he kind of was the guy that took the victory away from the jaws of defeat in this one by just hustling his butt off in this and making some big plays along with a couple shots. Like, he was really effective. And, you know, I got to give it to a guy tonight when he loses teeth.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, he played super hard, and like, the guy, he's gonna be hurting, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, he may have walked out of it because the adrenaline was up. I will guarantee you in 2 hours he's not gonna be happy about how those teeth feel.
Yeah, no, I like how, and Pedro says agree, Justin. I just felt the mentality from Blackwell tonight was I'm not gonna lose this game. Like, to hell with you. I'm gonna get to the rim. I'm gonna put the team on my back. And there's been times I don't feel like we've always seen that from Blackwell. I felt like he's deferred a little bit in a bit of a point guard role because he's trying to fill that Hepburn role of let's get everybody involved. And tonight he was just like, no, I'm going to be the alpha. And I was really impressed with his just level of physicality. Now, everything you said about Janicki is also completely correct. A couple questions on Amos tonight, guys. I just don't think it's there this year. It's too inconsistent to me.
He's a work in progress, and I think that they're just trying to squeeze something out of him to get him some experience in this system this year. But it's clear that he's kind of a guy who's just feeling his way. I just don't think he's a super intuitive basketball player. Like, there's physical talent there, but not everybody just has that feel for the game, and he's clearly a guy that is struggling for feel right now. We've seen it with Marcus Ilver for the bulk of his career at Wisconsin, where you look at it and it's like he just doesn't understand. Like, he doesn't have a feel for what makes sense in the moment. And maybe Amos gets a lot better heading into next year, but right now it's not there. Like, if we had to play him heavy minutes, I would be really concerned with his ability to fit within the flow of the offense and not cause problems for how efficient this team can be.
When he first got in the game, he made a couple good defensive plays, I thought. And he had a block tonight, and he just looked like he had a ton of energy right when he first came off the bench. But then he just sort of fell off the cliff very quickly. Took a couple bad shots. It just wasn't working for him. I agree. the thing is, we still need him as part of the rotation because, Gilmore obviously is playing a ton of the big minutes, but we need one more to come in there and if we have foul trouble. So he's still going to be a part of what we do. But yeah, I'm hoping that next year we see a little bit more from him, but a little disappointing.
I want to throw this comment up because I think Corey makes a great point. Corey Dahlman says Gilmore did great on Garcia tonight. I don't know who started that, if it was me, Rajiv, Justin. Yeah. Unbelievable job by Carter Gilmore on Dawson Garcia tonight. After Dawson Garcia cooked him in their first matchup. But Carter Gilmore was unbelievable on him tonight. Sorry, Rajiv.
Yeah, no. So Amos did good on him the first time we played. Amos actually played really well, and I was expecting Amos to come in and do it again. Winter cannot guard Dawson Garcia. Period. End of discussion. No. He can't. He absolutely got torched by Garcia. Gilmore comes in the game, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, Carter Gilmore's guarding me. Who would have ever thought we would have said that? By the way, talking about anybody. The energy he brought, he played really well. He was really good at pressuring Garcia, not letting him get to the spot that he wanted to. I mean. And it was okay to play one-on-one because it's not like he needed help. Winter plays one-on-one. You knew Dawson Garcia was scoring. Unbelievable job by Gilmore tonight. Yeah, I started that. I thought, and again, Gilmore's not a guy we were going to talk about a lot tonight because he doesn't have a huge stat sheet, but really, really important job. By the way, Dawson Garcia was 6 of 17, took 17 shots. He had 14 points. That's an inefficient game from him because of what Carter Gilmore did.
Yeah, I look at this game, and it's not shocking to me that Gilmore was more effective on him simply because anyone who's watched Dawson Garcia throughout his career knows that he really struggles when people get physical with him. He's a finesse player who does not like to have people get physical, and it showed again. Gilmore was willing to get body up to him, and that was a problem. Winter's just not ready to do that. He's not that type of defender yet where he can wall off and body somebody, and it shows. I think Gilmore is actually the best guy we have in terms of being able to do that on this team, of being able to physically get into somebody. Even Crowl struggles with that at times because he's just not as fluid athletically as what Gilmore is. But yeah, he's really effective in that role, especially against finesse guys. Really, the only negative I have on Gilmore for the night was that dunk he gave up on that guy, that he just got around him.
And even
he was
then,
feeling himself a little off the fade.
Yeah, even then though, it felt like, okay, at least a lot of players have a stupid foul there. He actually made the guy kind of finish. It is what it is. We're gonna take one quick break here. We're gonna come back and talk about big picture. Rajiv kind of hit on this too. Are we a little shook? How much are we buying some of these struggles down the stretch going forward? We're gonna hit on that next. Plus, any other comments you want to get into? Last minute thoughts from the game. Badgers do win. Big win to keep that double bye hope alive. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. Thank you, as always, for tuning into Locked On Badgers. Really do appreciate you. Let's go around the horn on this one and then take any comments. Where is your confidence level? How shook are you, if not at all, right now? Badgers have obviously lost the Oregon game. They shouldn't have lost that one. Michigan State is what it is, but you dropped that one. Struggled a little bit tonight. Sandwiched in there's that Washington game where you just absolutely obliterated them, but they're terrible. Rajiv, we'll start with you. Where are you at right now, big picture?
I'm feeling pretty confident that we can still be a Sweet 16 team. I do think that the flaws are coming out a bit more. We know that we're a live by the 3, die by the 3 team. We take so many of them. And if that shooting, I know that a couple comments saying the shooting will get better in the tournament. I hear that. At the end of the day, if we shoot 20% in the tournament, we're losing the game. We're not winning that game because we just don't have other ways that we can really score effectively and efficiently. It's another game. Count one more for Tanjay and Blackwell not having a good night together, by the way. Hopefully that happens at some point. That just seems to never happen. But yeah, I am confident. I am a little shook though with the 3-point shooting percentage. It is a big thing. We talked about it on our show on Sunday with Justin and I. We talked a lot about the trend is concerning to me. You always say water finds its level. Kamari McGee was going to find that level. He has now, right? He's coming down, but I'm still hoping that Max Klesmit can have his sort of rise up and shooting better and be that guy. I am concerned with 3-point shooting. I will say this. I think defensively, we've gotten a little bit better, a little stronger recently. I will give the defense credit because we're playing a little harder. The hedges have been really good. We're not getting burned a ton as much by the pick and roll. I am a little concerned, but I still am confident we can be a Sweet 16 team.
So I agree with defensive effort has gone up. The one thing I will say is there were a few times I caught them kind of overplaying, and it opened up some passing. It's like there were a couple back cuts there that were there when guys kind of cut down the lane. And I'm like, they got to be careful because better teams are gonna carve us up on that execution. That said, I think the effort level defensively is definitely up from where it was. What I will say is my panic level is probably at a 5 out of 10 right now. And that is because I'm getting a little concerned with the lack of good stretches of basketball with this team. I want to see them have longer spurts. And right now we're really struggling at times to run good offense. I think if Penn State is a rough game, it probably jumps to a 7 for me because it's getting to the point where it's like, I need to see you guys have a good game again, where you look like you're kind of carving the team up, and we're not doing it right now. So we'll see how it goes. They have some time. I don't think a long run in the tournament is a good idea for this team. I think they do need some rest.
I hate the Big Ten tournament. I've been on record saying that.
Yeah.
I'm like a 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10. I'm not that worried. I feel like this team is exactly who I kind of thought they were, and now they're missing a starter. This team was always going to be a team that would struggle a little bit when they don't shoot well, and that nothing has really changed in the big picture. This is a team that coming into tonight was outscoring teams by 11 per game, right? You beat Minnesota by 7 today on the road, minus Klesmit. I don't know if it's really as far off as what we're thinking, and we've probably somewhat become a victim of our own success. This was not a historically great Badgers offense. It was a team that was probably shooting a little above its weight class, but not that far. And now you're just shooting for a couple games a little below your weight class. Klesmit gets back. I think that evens out the rotation. And again, this was a road game. Wisconsin was a 7.5-point favorite. They won by 7 without Max Klesman. I'm just not that concerned because I felt like this is who this team has always been under the surface. It's a team that just has to shoot well, or otherwise the game is going to be close. And it's, again, like finding ways to win is important, and you found a way to win on the road when you shot 22%. There's actually a bit of a silver lining positive stuck in there, if you want to look at it that way. Now, if they continue to shoot 22%, to Rajiv's point, if that trend continues, then yeah, this team's not making a deep run in March. But I don't think that's the case because I just think over the course of a long season, you're going to have ups and downs. We're in a bit of a trough. Klesmit gets back. I think that evens out. I'm at like a 2 or 3 out of 10.
I will say I had the game at minus 6.5 and I won. So that's
There you
great.
go. Nice.
Barely. I was a little stressing at the end there. Yeah, I agree. Like 3 kind of is where I'm at with it. I think that the reason that I have this concern about the shooting so much is you're probably right, Ryan. Like it's going to equal out a little bit, but it's that like, I really thought that it was going to be a stretch for us not to make the Sweet 16. And now I am worried about playing a 13 seed or a 14 seed or whatever we end up playing, mid-major team that shoots lights out, which happens all the time in the tournament. We get a couple big guys in foul trouble early, which happens all the time in the NCAA tournament. And we lose in the first round. And my entire year of basketball is crushed in a moment. And honestly, that's the fear that I have. I didn't have this fear a few weeks ago when I felt like we were just finding so many ways to score. But we're seeing the return of the dreaded Badger scoring drought. We had 2 in this game. And Justin, you kind of touched on it. That's where I start to just get a little bit concerned. And I'm like, I honestly, guys, like if we lose in the opening round of the tournament, I'm going to be so depressed, and it can't happen. And I need a Sweet 16. I need this team to get to the second weekend so I can enjoy the tournament.
Yeah, I agree there. We can't have a first round loss. We had a comment. I meant to star it and I accidentally deleted it. It said, "Why does Ryan always look like he's on coke before a show?" It's because these games stress me out. Like, I can tell you, I've never smoked a thing in my life. Like, even we talked about that. I've never smoked weed, anything, like ever. That goes back to my Navy days and just being super paranoid about it. But it's because these games stress me out. And I know I come on the show and I'm like, hey, we're okay. Look at this red face. This is not the face of a guy that was like really calm during this game. So 100% agree, Rajiv. Like, I can't have a first round loss either.
Someone made a comment that I must be fun to watch a game with. I'm like, I'm probably calmer than Ryan is watching games.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know about
It
that.
depends. I mean, I was actually pretty calm during this game, other than the fact that I was just critical of them because I wasn't liking the way that they were playing. I thought there were a couple of times down the stretch where they made some really impressive plays where it was good to see them kind of come through in moments where they had adversity. This is a team that, Rajiv, you're kind of hitting the nail on the head for me too, where it's like, I do not want to see them let somebody hang around and put themselves in a bad spot. And that's what it feels like right now. Is they're letting, like, a team like Minnesota, like I realize, Ryan, it's good to get a 7-point win. This game should have been a comfortable win. This is not a good basketball team that they played against. If they play quality basketball like Wisconsin plays their average game, they probably win this one by 10 plus.
Yeah, it's not a pretty win. I agree. It's definitely not a pretty win.
They were pretty sloppy.
They were. A season is filled with kind of ugly wins, though, and bad losses, and then some pretty wins. And ultimately, I think winning close is a skill in March, too. Like winning down the stretch, hitting free throws. Again, this is a team that went 21 to 24 from the free throw line, executed down the stretch. Those win in March, too. And there's going to be a game in March. If you want to make the run, and gosh willing, we all hope we do, there's going to be a game in March where you shoot 28%, 31%. And you damn well better execute down the stretch. They have been able to do that a little bit. Now, Justin, your point is also correct. This is not a good team. This is not the caliber of team you're going to be seeing in March either. But you do have to execute down the stretch, and they did that today at least. Guys, any last thoughts in the military? We call it last rounds. Anything else we want to hit on?
Yeah, I've got two things I want to hit on. Kind of to that point, Evan Malone said last year we lose this game. That's the difference, right? We are a better team than we were last year, which is why I have a little more confidence going in. And the other one I want to bring up is this comment here from Big Bucky. Was at the game. Great Badger crowd is always in the barn. I want to just, for those of you that are listening to this and you were in the barn, and for all the traveling fans, I love that. Especially when we play that stupid team from up north. I'm really, really happy when you can hear the Badger fans just cheering there, going crazy. Kudos to all the Badger fans who are there. I mean, that is so fun, and I love that. And I saw this comment earlier. I started a while ago. I know some people that are listening to this right now are there. Great job. Like, that's the kind of atmosphere that we need to build when we travel on the road. Fantastic. I love that.
The Tanjay Whistle comment, I want to actually say something. Matt Erickson, Tanjay Whistle is built for March. Yeah, he's got to be a little careful, though. He's getting a little carried away with some of his bull in a china shop mentality that he should have followed out in this game. He legitimately just ran over a guy and got away with it late in the game because
I think a couple of the other ones, though, were pretty weak. But
yeah, I won't argue that, but he absolutely leveled that kid. Yeah. Like that is a foul in every league that I've ever.
Yeah, that last one was a charge. 100% that last one was a charge. It's a good point from Don't Badger Me too. Minnesota 7 quad wins at home on senior night, not to be undersold. Like, it's hard to win on the Big Ten in the road. We always talk about that. And Dawson Garcia is a legit player. Like, so my last comment here is I think this is a good way to wrap it up. We haven't even played this in a bit, but let's let the old man take us out here. This is a good day. It's a win against the Gophers. Let's go.
This is awesome. It's a good day for me. Come on in here, buddy. Get up on that line.
Appreciate everybody so much.
Has he been put on a list yet?
Nah, that guy's a man. We bring him out when the big wins happen. On Wisconsin, we're going to go check out Locked On Big Ten, all the biggest stories from the conference over on the Locked On Big Ten channel. Go give them a follow. We're wrapping it up here. Thank you for tuning in. As always, the Badgers get a W, and ultimately that is what matters. That, and of course, the Gophers losing on Wisconsin, and we will talk later.